Hey guys, I wanted to say hello. This is my new podcast that I used to do a podcast called Gratitude is a Journey on Anchor. And also, I think it went to Spotify and it's still there. There's about 3 years of, footage, inspirational things that I talked about and that I will continue to talk about on this podcast, which is now called Gratitude and Pivoting with D'Angelo Thompson. So we'll focus on gratitude, focus on pivoting. And I like to start by saying hello and welcome to Gratitude and Pivoting. And let's move forward. Today is June 25th, 2025, and it's been very interesting times here in America and around the globe. As you know, there's been a lot going on, but my purpose here is not to focus on death and destruction or war. It is to focus on how do we stay centered in gratitude and how do we stay centered in pivoting in times of seemingly chaos. Chaos can be in our personal lives or professional life, and also as a global citizen in our lives as well. So, how do you deal with that? That is the question. For me, it is a daily practice of gratitude. I wake up and I try not to turn on my phone and look at, what's going on in the world in the way of Instagram, social media. My purpose, as soon as I get up, is to state what I'm grateful for. And it's 10 to 12 things, sorry, 10 to 20 things that I'm grateful for. It normally ends up around 10 to 12. So, but it mentally sets me up for a really positive day, and no matter what comes at me, I am not distracted. I am not curved. And it also allows me to speak up, but speak up with grace, not anger. And it makes me temper how I move through the world. And I would say to each of you, just try this for 30 days. I've been doing it for years, but I will say to you that it really helps. Not saying, like many of you, I don't get affected emotionally about things going on around me. I do. I'm human. And I think as an empath and someone who's really sensitive, has always been sensitive, I feel not only for myself, but I feel for others as I touch my heart, which is really true. And but leaning into gratitude also can set up a kind of positive, anti-anxiety inducing practice every morning or every night before bed. So it's something you can think about. When we think about pivoting, which I will focus on a lot because I have a new book coming out, of course, called, Unscripted and Unstoppable, The Art of Pivoting, which I've had to do many times in my life, and I'm sure many of you have as well. We all pivot, and especially in this late 20th century, early 21st century, we had to learn how to pivot in a gig economy. In a gig economy, many friends have second jobs. Some of them drive Uber or Lyft or rideshare apps, whatever that is, or do other things on the weekend to generate revenue. Some people are able to sustain their lives just with one salary, which is amazing. However, I find that the more people lean into their passions, the more they pivot in their life and they understand there's a flow that happens and you have to trust that flow. Um, Examples of times I pivoted, being in college, studying fashion, merchandising, fine art. I needed extra money for school. And many of you know this story. I pivoted more into beauty, into makeup artistry. And I followed that journey for now over 35 years. And I've been able to not only work as a makeup artist, but an account executive, a beauty trainer, a consultant. I've won and been nominated for Daytime Emmy Awards. And I've been able to work with major Hollywood directors and producers, and which I'm very thankful for. And part of my pivoting in my lifetime has been to write books. And I started that about 15 years ago. And my seventh book is coming out now because I chose to pivot. And on my downtime, I write. So, and that's very important for me. It's not every day. I try to sit down every day and do it, but I do it when I'm fully focused on the intentional of creating content. And most of it has been about beauty, the first three books. And then after that, it was about gratitude. And that has really been something I've leaned into. Pivoting is a continuation of that. So I really hope you take this in and go on this journey with me. This is my first podcast on YouTube. I'm very thankful for it, and many more will come. and spread the word, gratitude and pivoting with me, D'Angelo Thompson, and I hope to see you here soon. You'll get at least one or two of these a week. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.